All right, everyone, back for part 3 with Payton. But before we do that, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's been watching the show and continue to watch it. If you look at the show notes, we have affiliate links where you can go buy things and we make a little money back for the show to put back into the show, as well as there's a Patreon link if you want to do that. So just to show you with our support, we're new and we're starting, but with a little bit of the money that we earn, we went out and we bought some really good technology to help improve the show. So I don't know if you saw that last episode, but I introduced it. But if not, it's right here. It's the magic button. Part 3 of the Pixel Show, finishing up Payton's senior shoot on the 135 1.8 G Master. So we moved on from the alley and we walked a little bit further and we came upon this open garage door. And again, if you remember, Payton said she liked industrial. And one of the things I like about an open door or something like this is that you can actually, I placed her just inside the door, which then forces the light to come in. And lights up their face really well. So if you ever have an opportunity to put someone like inside a doorway, whether it's a garage or a little door under a tree, then the light has to come in. It's especially a good technique when you have an overcast day. And the light comes straight down when it's overcast. But when you put someone under something, then it has to come in and it fills light in their face much more pleasingly, and you don't get those shadows under the eyes. Right away, kind of something funny happened. There was a group of joggers. Well, anyway, you watch. So needless to say, she was a little embarrassed. And I got a really funny picture of like her facial expression in between the joggers as they went by. But we shot here for probably 3-4 minutes. I mean, quickly. But I really like some of the images that I got here. And again, we're going to show you some of my favorite images at the end of this episode. So those of you, if you've hung with us for all 3 episodes, then you get to see some of my favorites here at the end. So the next location that we went to, I had her sit on some steps that were across the street. I didn't really love this location. I shot a few images, and that's okay. Like, you guys have to try things and like do stuff, and you don't have to love every single thing that you shoot. So I didn't spend as much time here because I wasn't loving it.
You go. There you go. Turn your head a little bit. Good, a little more, a little more, a little more. Good. All right, walk to me.
Okay, so this next location is called the Stone Arch Bridge. It's a very popular location for people to shoot out in Minneapolis. And you can see why, because when I roll the clip, you see downtown Minneapolis skyline in the background. But one of the things here that's challenging, of course, is there's always hundreds of people on this bridge. So when I do shoot here, I then usually will do kind of like a slower shutter speed, 15th of a second or so I get a little blur and movement in the background. And you just have to use the people because you're never going to get a shot of the bridge where no one's on it except probably for really early in the morning. And then even I've been down there early and you have joggers.
Little smile.
Again, you hear me giving her direction here, asking her to walk to me, look around. I want these to try to look as natural as possible while using the environment. So it's not like an engagement shoot where I have 2 people and I can stop and pose them. Like, yes, I could shoot her, but I sort of like that naturally walking. And those of you that are old enough, I remember on the day I told her, I'm like, okay, here's your Mary Tyler Moore episode pose. And for those of you who don't know who she is, then you can do a little Google work and look it up. But very famous show back when I was younger.
Chin down again a little bit.
So this final place we shot is actually a building, but it looks like it formerly used to be a loading dock. The sun's setting, it's low in the sky, so you can see that. So what I did is I put her back again to the sun, and I used it as a nice highlight and rim light in her hair. And we got a couple really beautiful images just at this last location.
Look over your shoulder that way. Good. Fix your hair.
How's the light, Robert?
Looks good. I've got her like backlit. Eyes to me right from there. Little smile. Good.
You know, so you can see there were people and other objects in the background. But again, remember, I'm shooting at 1.8. I'm kind of focused tight in her face. And so everything in the background is going out of focus. So then it doesn't become an issue. So I hope you enjoyed that. And listening to me give a little bit of direction and watching what I'm doing. But again, the last two episodes were all shot on the 135 1.8 G Master. It's one of my favorite lenses. It's so beautiful, especially to shoot a single person, a headshot. I mean, of course, you could shoot sports with it. Really, you can shoot whatever you want with it. But I really love the 85 G Master and the 135 G Master for senior portraits and something like this when I'm shooting one person. Okay, so let's look at some of the images from start to finish throughout the day, starting with the first location. And if you are watching this episode for the first time, go back and watch episode 1 and 2, and you will see me shoot this. You will see me shoot these images. So this first location, you can see I was using the depth of this long walkway, the deck, the counter. I was really getting some pretty kick off the building, so the lighting was really pretty. And again, notice her hands, very soft, feminine. I guess I could have done a little more with the one in her lap, but I really like the one up on her shoulder. I changed angles just to give it a little more depth. So the counter, you can see, really runs a long ways, and the leading lines run right into the subject and bring your eyes right in there. Next, we went around the corner to the. Usually there's tables and stuff out here, but this restaurant is closed right now, and so you can see there's some green coming up from the wood, which I really like that. I switched to the 135 1.8 G Master here, and I shot that for the rest of the time. And if you do want to see the information, if you look up to the top right of your screen, there is the XF data. Because I am using Photo Mechanic, so if you also want to know what I'm going through these images, I am using Photo Mechanic, and this is what I use to cull all my work in. I really love this program. But I like this image because, again, I switched to the 135 because look how busy the background is. So I'm a little wider, but look what it does to the background. Beautiful bokeh. It really softens those lines behind her. It's colorful. And now watch as we move in closer. So now I've moved closer to her. I'm laying down on the deck with her. And now those colors are really beautiful background. And then let's move in, little smile. Now I want to show you these two images. So again, you hear me talk about hands and why hands are so important. So look at her hands in this image. Kind of not very flattering, right? She looks a little uncomfortable, but then you go to this image, and I changed her hands, and now they're soft and pretty and a lot more flattering and pleasing. So again, quickly, uncomfortable hands, comfortable hands. You know, what a difference. And again, look at the background. And I love how, again, it's just focusing on the greenery around her. That's what really sort of attracted me to this whole scene. And then again, if I go even closer, then you have this beautiful like rainbow background that's really pretty and pleasing to the eye. All right, so then we moved across the street because this is kind of the location that Payton pointed out. So here's one image from that. I put her in the greens, had her, just up in there, lean back, ask her, comfortable. She is holding on with that one wire. If you go back to the hands, it's not the best, but it was what's the most natural. We moved further down the street in front of the loading dock door. So this first image is me shooting, just using the door sort of as my backdrop. But then if you watch that episode, you heard me say I wanted to show the door. So I backed up a little bit. Now I was shooting the 135 1.8, so I had to move across the street a little bit. And I asked her to walk to me just so I could get some really fun images. Play with her hair a little bit, like once she got to where I wanted her and I knew that door would be a little more out of focus in the background, I had her play with her hair. Then we moved on to the electrical station, I guess, if you want to call it that. Again, going after urban because that's what she wanted. I mean, what could be more urban than this? The no trespassing sign, the electrical grid, I guess, in the background. So you see I have her backlit, really pretty lighting. I'm exposing for her face. This is all natural light. Just having her look off. I liked her looking off. If you notice, if you want to go back to Power of Simple and some of the shows that we do that about composition, rule of thirds here. So I have her to the left third of the frame and the bottom third of the frame. Then I had her stand, lean against that pole just for a little bit different look, bend her leg. It's always nice to have some bends and turns in your posing. And then I moved myself, so she's still leaning against the same pole, but that fence, as you can see, goes down the hill. So then I used the fence as a little depth as opposed to using the electrical grid in the background. Soft little smile. Really love this expression. It's just her. It's pretty, it's simple. Not every portrait do you have to have a big happy smile in. And I do try to mix that up because I kind of like this expression for me. But then I know the parents like smiles and people like smiles. So I do a little bit of both. It's super important to shoot for your client, but it's really important to shoot for yourself. So then we walk down the street a little further. And here you'll see, again, if you go back and watch the clip, I used this location and I walked around the shot and got 3 different looks. So I was getting a nice kick off some silos across the street, which were putting this really pretty light back into her face, shooting her straight on with the building and the brick in the background. And then I kind of moved a little bit, moved in closer, and kind of went in and did like a 3/4 headshot type. Again, notice the hands. Nothing's ever perfect in a photograph, but a lot better than her gripping the pole or anything like that. And then I moved again a little bit, so now I'm shooting the depth of the railing. And then finally, I really liked the catwalk, so I had her sit down because, again, I knew with the 135-1.8 G Master, how the focus would be just, right by her, and you really get some nice depth this way. So then you saw me shooting through these columns, I guess, if you will. It's to allow the landscape to grow up. Something a little different. This is something where I wanted to sort of shoot for myself. I thought it'd be interesting, especially with the shallow depth of field, to shoot through these. So I was focusing on one eye, but then I think I was like, I want to see that other eye. So I shifted, and now you see this. So I think I like this portrait much better than this. You tell me what you like, but I like this version better. So then the next couple pictures were just sort of right next door. We just transitioned. This one's okay. I like this image, but I didn't absolutely love the location. The only thing for me that was interesting, I think, was the reflection. But then it was a little challenging because I had to keep myself out of it, which is why I didn't shoot her straight on. Then I had her change her posture and her position. And shot a couple more. Then she sort of gravitated over to this, area, and I shot a few, wasn't loving it, but again, I let her play, and we shot a few. These weren't necessarily my favorite, but they still work. At this point, she changed outfits, as you can see. So first I thought I'd start off and shoot her against this greenery, and it was okay. And then I looked over and I saw some bottle grass, and I was like, no, let's go shoot over here. We shot in the bottle grass, and I was like, well, I'm just not loving it, but I want to get her down in it. So I asked her to squat down in the bottle grass, and this is a much better image. So again, you sometimes you have to keep working the location, again, listening to that little voice inside, and trying to find the shot that's going to work for you. So then, again, at the beginning of this episode, we went to this garage door. I had her stand inside so the light was coming in. You saw that kind of fun shot of her in the beginning with the boys running by. So I had her stand, and then I had her squat down. And I think I like her squatting better, right? Here's the stand, and then I had her come down. I like this image much better. If you watched, obviously, this episode previously and you saw the boys run by, then this is kind of the fun image that I got of her as the jogger boys came by. Because we were sort of like kidding her, like, okay, here comes something special for you. And she was like, ew. So one more of her squatting down. And then right near us, there was, I don't know what you call these things, roadblock with the lights, and I drug it over. And yeah, this didn't work. But I want to show you this. Like, I brought it in here. I shot a few pictures, and I was like, yeah, I'm done. And so, you know, I think the ones that I got prior to that were much better. But you have to try things. You have to experiment, and some stuff works and some stuff doesn't. Here's the image where I had her across the street, and you saw me directing traffic previously. I didn't love this location either, but again, we tried it, something different. And then we went out onto the bridge. So now, again, look at the bokeh, shooting it at 1.8 wide open. I'm at, what's my shutter speed? I'm at 2000 at 1.8 at 400 ISO here. And, you know, everyone in the background's going out of focus. There's the jogger. So again, I did previously, you heard me, if you watched this episode, talk about, you know, shooting it at a 15th of a second. I did do some of those. They didn't work out so well. So again, with the 1.8, I kind of got the same thing. So here you see the jogger. But this again would be an area where you could go back in and, you know, shoot at a lower. I think it was because it was too bright, and especially shooting at 1.8. What you would need to do in order to get your shutter speed down to a 15th of a second is have neutral density filters, because even I'm at 400 ISO here. I could have gone down to, I think, 64 or 50, which is the lowest ISO the camera would go to, and I still might not be able to get down to a 15th of a second at 1.8. So I know a lot of times people talk about neutral density filters and using it for video, especially, but have you ever thought about using it for a portrait so that you can use your 1.8 aperture and get movement in this case? So anyway, something to think about. Go out and try it. Let me know if it works for you. And then the very last location, where I had her along this loading dock, had her, you know, I started off facing her out to the sun. There was a little too much sun on her face, so again, I turned her back to the sun, and so now she's beautifully rim lit. The hair light is amazing. Little hot spot on the side of her face, but it doesn't bother me. Again, you could pull that down in Lightroom a little bit if you didn't like it so much, but I really love her expression. I love the depth in the grid of the walkway and the backlight. So that's it. These were some of my favorite images. I really hope you enjoyed that and it was helpful. I hope you learned something. Please comment below and ask any questions that you might have from the shoot, and I will answer those for you. Subscribe, hit that notification button. Gotta say it. Because we're trying to build our audience. We are real close to hitting 500 subscribers after only about 8 or 9 months of the Pixel Show. And if you haven't seen the Pixel Show before, at 100, we did a live episode. And at 500, which will be our next milestone, we are going to do a live episode and celebrate 500 subscribers. And we're going to eat some cake. So we'll see you soon. Tell your friends so we can get our sweet tooth on. I'm Robert Evans, and thank you for watching The Pixel Show.